Hey there, welcome back to QuickReadVault. Today we're diving into Mark Manson's brutally honest masterpiece, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. This isn't your typical self-help book filled with toxic positivity. Instead, Manson delivers a counterintuitive approach to living a good life by embracing limitations and choosing what truly matters. In the next 15 minutes, I'll break down the core principles that have transformed millions of lives worldwide. We'll explore why caring less can actually make you happier, how suffering is inevitable, and why accepting responsibility is the key to personal freedom. If you're tired of chasing impossible standards and ready for some real talk about what makes life meaningful, you're in the right place. Before we jump in, smash that like button, subscribe to QuickReadVault for more life-changing book summaries, and drop a comment telling me which book I should cover next. Let's get started. Part 1, Don't Try, the Backwards Law. Manson opens with a mind-bending concept. The more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become. He calls this the backwards law. As he writes, the desire for more positive experience is itself a negative experience. Think about it. Constantly chasing happiness actually reminds you that you're not happy enough. The key isn't to stop caring about everything. It's about choosing carefully what deserves your energy. Manson argues that we have a limited number of FCKs to give, so we better choose wisely. Most successful people aren't successful because they gave a F-sake about everything. They succeeded because they didn't give a F-sake about most things and focused intensely on what mattered. When I first read this, it hit differently. I realized I was exhausting myself caring about every little thing. Instagram likes, minor work criticisms, what strangers thought of me. Learning to be selective about my concerns was genuinely liberating. Now I ask myself, will this matter in 5 years? Most things don't. Part 2. Happiness is a problem. Here's the uncomfortable truth Manson presents. Suffering is inevitable. He explains that problems never stop. They merely get exchanged and/or upgraded. Happiness isn't about eliminating problems. It's about finding problems worth solving. We evolved to always be dissatisfied because our ancestors who were content didn't survive. They didn't seek better shelter, more food, or safer environments. This means our brains are wired for perpetual dissatisfaction. The Buddha recognized this thousands of years ago, and Manson brings it into modern context. The solution? Stop asking, how do I stop suffering? And start asking, what suffering am I willing to endure? Want a great body? Embrace the pain of discipline and workouts. Want a successful business? Accept the stress and failures that come with it. Choose your struggle wisely. This chapter completely reframed my relationship with difficulty. I used to see every obstacle as unfair, something I shouldn't have to deal with. Now I understand that choosing worthwhile problems is what gives life meaning. My struggles became purposeful rather than just burdensome. Part 3. You are not special. Manson delivers a hard pill to swallow. You're not extraordinary, and that's perfectly okay. Our culture pushes the narrative that everyone is unique and destined for greatness. As Manson puts it, the rare people who do become truly exceptional at something do so because they're obsessed with improvement, not because they believe they're already great. This obsession with being special actually makes us more anxious and entitled. We feel we deserve success without effort, and when reality doesn't match our inflated self-image, we suffer. The truth is most of us are pretty average at most things, and accepting this is actually freeing. Instead of feeling entitled to an extraordinary life, Manson suggests we accept our ordinariness and focus on ordinary things that matter: good relationships, meaningful work, personal growth. Ironically, this acceptance is what allows genuine growth to happen. This was the toughest chapter for me to accept. I'd spent years believing I was destined for something extraordinary without putting in extraordinary effort. Accepting my ordinariness didn't feel like giving up. It felt like permission to be human and to genuinely improve without the pressure of some cosmic destiny. Here. 4. The value of suffering. Manson introduces a crucial concept. If suffering is inevitable, what makes it meaningful is the values we choose. He warns against what he calls shitty values: pleasure, material success, always being right, and staying positive. These values are terrible because they're outside our control, socially destructive, and not immediate or controllable. Good values, according to Manson, are honest, constructive, immediate, and controllable. Things like honesty, innovation, vulnerability, and standing up for yourself. He writes, "Good values are achieved internally. Bad values are reliant on external events. When you base your happiness on external validation, social media followers, your bank account, others' opinions, you're perpetually at the mercy of forces beyond your control. But when you value things like integrity, curiosity, and humility, you control your own satisfaction." I used to measure success by salary and status. After reading this, I shifted to valuing learning, authentic relationships, and contributing value to others. This internal shift made setbacks less devastating because my self-worth wasn't tied to external metrics anymore. Game changer. Part 5. You are always choosing. Here's where Manson gets radical. You're always responsible for your life, even when things aren't your fault. He distinguishes between fault and responsibility. We don't always control what happens to us, but we always control how we interpret what happens and how we respond. This means you're not responsible for being dealt a bad hand, but you are responsible for how you play it. Blaming others might feel good temporarily, but it gives away your power. Taking responsibility, even for things that aren't your fault, gives you agency to change your situation. Manson emphasizes that we're always choosing. Even choosing not to choose is a choice. Playing the victim is a choice. Staying in a bad situation is a choice. And recognizing this is the first step to genuine empowerment. This chapter made me uncomfortable because it stripped away my excuses. Sure, I had legitimate reasons for certain failures, but I was using them as shields against action. When I started owning every aspect of my life, even the unfair parts, I found power I didn't know I had. Responsibility is freedom. Part 6. You're wrong about everything. Manson challenges our need for certainty. Our brains are constantly creating narratives about the world, ourselves, and others, and most of these narratives are wrong or incomplete. He explains that certainty is the enemy of growth. When we're certain we're right, we stop learning and questioning. He encourages what he calls being less wrong, constantly questioning our beliefs and being willing to be proven wrong. As Manson writes, the more something threatens your identity, the more you will avoid it. This is why growth is uncomfortable. It requires letting go of who we think we are. Instead of asking, "How do I know I'm right?" ask, "How might I be wrong?" This opens up growth, learning, and genuine connection with others who see things differently. I used to argue to win, defending my positions like my life depended on it. Now I argue to learn. When someone disagrees with me, instead of getting defensive, I get curious. This shift transformed my relationships and made me infinitely more adaptable. Being wrong became exciting, not threatening. Part 7. Failure is the way forward. Manson flips our relationship with failure. He argues that improvement at anything is based on thousands of tiny failures. We avoid failure because our culture treats it as shameful, but every successful person has failed more than unsuccessful people have even tried. The path to success isn't avoiding failure, it's failing forward. Action is what matters, not endless planning or waiting for perfect conditions. Manson writes, "Don't just sit there, do something. The answers will follow." Pain is part of growth. The entrepreneur who never fails is the one who never tried. The artist who's never been criticized is the one who never shared their work. Failure is data, feedback, and the only real path to improvement. I used to be paralyzed by fear of failure, so I rarely took risks. After absorbing this message, I started treating failures as experiments. Each failure taught me something valuable that I could never have learned from just thinking or reading. Now I actually seek out situations where I might fail because that's where the growth is. Part 8. The importance of saying no. True freedom comes from commitment and rejection, not endless options. Manson challenges the modern obsession with keeping all doors open. He writes, "The only way to achieve meaning and a sense of importance is through rejection. We must reject alternatives to commit to what matters. Relationships illustrate this perfectly. Real intimacy requires saying no to other romantic possibilities and fully committing to one person. Breadth without depth leaves us empty." The paradox is that limiting our options actually creates more freedom. Freedom from the anxiety of endless choice and the freedom to go deep. Saying no to good things allows us to say yes to great things. Every commitment is simultaneously a rejection of alternatives, and that's not a bug, it's a feature. I struggled with FOMO for years, keeping options open everywhere. After reading this, I realized my fear of commitment was actually preventing me from experiencing anything meaningful. When I started saying no decisively to opportunities, relationships, projects, I found space for depth and real fulfillment. Less became more. Part 9, and then you die. Manson concludes with death, the ultimate uncomfortable truth. Confronting our mortality isn't morbid, it's clarifying. He explains that death is the only thing we can know with any certainty. This certainty should guide our values and choices. When you truly internalize that your time is limited, trivial concerns fade away. The question becomes, what legacy do I want to leave? Not in terms of fame or wealth, but in terms of impact on the people around you and the person you became. As Manson writes, the only way to be comfortable with death is to understand and see yourself as something bigger than yourself. This could be family, community, ideals, or causes. Contributing to something beyond yourself gives life meaning that transcends your individual existence. Thinking about death used to terrify me. Now it focuses me. When I'm stressed about something petty, I ask, will this matter when I'm dying? It sounds dramatic, but it works. This perspective has helped me invest energy in relationships, meaningful work, and personal growth rather than accumulating stuff or chasing validation. So there you have it, the subtle art of not giving a fuck in 15 minutes. This book isn't about being apathetic or cynical. It's about being intentional, accepting reality, and choosing your battles wisely. Manson gives us permission to be imperfect, to struggle with meaningful problems, and to stop chasing an impossible ideal of perpetual happiness. The core message? Life is limited. Your energy is limited. Choose what deserves your fucks carefully. Accept that suffering is part of the deal. Take responsibility even when things aren't your fault. Question your certainties. Embrace failure as growth. Commit deeply rather than keeping options open. And remember that death is coming, so make it count. This book genuinely changed how I approach daily life. I'm more selective, more present, and paradoxically, more content despite caring about fewer things. What's your biggest takeaway from this summary? Have you read the book? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want me to summarize another book, let me know which one. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to QuickReadVault for more book summaries that can actually transform your life. Thanks for watching, and remember, choose your fucks wisely.